Hello and welcome back to the second episode of 50-50 Take It or Leave It. In today's episode, we talked about our top 5, each of our top 5 favorite games of all time, a little Game of Thrones, and then we talk about the first D&D session that we all had together. And that
Quite
about
a thriller.
That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
That's pretty good.
And with that, let's jump into it. And welcome back. So, who wants to start with their top 5?
I think I can. I'll go first. So,
All right, and Kyle, would you like to clue everybody in as to what top 5 we were talking about?
Top 5 favorite video games for us individually. For me, since I'm more of a storytelling kind of game person.
Yeah.
My list is mostly compiled of games that are like huge on story, like branching storylines and endings and things like that. So, my favorite games, in no real particular order for me, are mostly comprised of.
There has to be an order.
I mean,
Dude, it's your top 5.
I can't really put them in an order.
Kyle, you can do it.
Kyle, just put them in an order in your head, just real quick. All right, we'll come back.
Why did anyone else just go first?
I can
We'll
go
come back.
first.
All right, Mitch.
Jeez,
What
already
are your
terrible.
top 5? Starting with number 5. Work your way up to number 1.
Work my way up.
Yeah.
I
You
I
got to
like
finish with
working
the
my way up.
best.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, just a little brief description. My list is definitely comprised of nostalgic.
Okay.
Of this list. at
Nostalgia.
Number 5.
Nostalgia, I think, plays a role in all of our lists. I'd
Oh,
assume.
yeah. Especially for someone who hasn't really been into their gaming mode for like the past 3 years. Ever since college really started. Kind of
Okay.
sucks, but.
Yeah.
At number 5, off the Nintendo 64 console, Pokemon Stadium. And let me tell you why I like this game so much.
All right. Yeah.
Playing it by itself, honestly, isn't the best. Having a group of friends with you playing it, how I would play it is, in high school, we would have these debate tournaments, and when we host it, obviously we can't compete because that gets a little biased, and don't want to have some biasness at the debate tournament. So what we would do is, in between rounds, we would be playing Pokemon Stadium, having brackets. You choose your 3 mons, you go in and you battle, and you see who the champ is. Pokemon World Champion, yeah. Dude, super fun game with a group of people. I played it by myself and with, like, one other person. It's all right. But, like, with a group of people, that's why it's at number 5 for me.
All right.
Coming in at number 4, being able to play across all console platforms, including PC, Minecraft.
All right.
Now,
Yeah.
specifically, I played this on Xbox.
Do you remember the year that you played this?
I started playing probably sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow. Damn. All right.
Yeah. You know, it started off, I actually, under my parents' nose, bought my first 360. And, like, me and my brother would take it out, play it in my room at night, or, like, you know, in the afternoon into the evening. And then we'd pack it up back in my closet and throw some clothes over it, and then go upstairs like nothing had happened. And my parents were blown away by how, like, well we were getting along. They had no idea that we were playing 360. And at the time, one of my uncles was living with us, and he was like, yeah, they've had that for like a couple months. I don't know how you guys didn't know.
So you bonded with your brother through lies?
Yes,
Deception.
precisely. And yeah, so Minecraft, and my buddies in my neighborhood also had Minecraft. So it was actually like middle school going into high school. I was kind of judgmental actually towards people who played Minecraft. I was like, that's a stupid game. It's virtual Legos. Like, just play real Legos. Come on, people, let's be real. But then I played it, and I was like, oh, this is actually really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, keeping with the 360 console, my game coming in at number 3 is Black Ops 2. In my opinion, one of the it is a blessed game. One of the best Call of Duty games in that franchise.
I agree.
It's got the best overall maps. What's it called? I haven't played in a really long time. The small one. The yacht.
Oh, I know the map was like, that's just a yacht.
Yeah,
Isn't it the same literally yacht?
Pretty sure it's just
no,
called.
it's not called yacht, is it?
I'm pretty sure it's yacht.
I
pretty
don't
sure
think it's.
just
We're gonna have some analysts look
Yeah,
at that.
we're gonna have our guys in the
Okay.
back look it up.
Yep. So, but that probably by far my favorite map, and it has one of my favorite guns. I'm a shotgun type of operator myself.
Hijacked. That is
Yeah.
what the guys in the back have told me. It is hijacked.
There you go.
Ooh.
Hijacked. I knew it wasn't yacht because I knew that was too easy.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's the Remington
Yep.
87.
Ooh, yeah.
I know which one you're
Yep,
talking about.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that shotgun.
Man, like the
It-
one that I would use all the time was the KSG. That was the slug. Oh yeah.
Okay. I respect that.
Yeah.
The shotgun I didn't like in that game was the rotating one,
Mhm.
and then it's like a double. It's kind of a burst shotgun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was probably my least favorite one. But anyways, Black Ops 2, best Black Ops in my opinion. Don't at me. Coming in at number 2. Now these last two, these were tough for me because these were my games growing up. My childhood was based on these two games. Coming in at number 2 on the GameCube console, Need for Speed Underground.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Have you played Underground 2?
I have not played Underground 2.
It's
Just
good.
is it?
Have you played Carbon? That's my favorite one in the series.
I have not played Carbon either. Just Need for Speed Underground.
I think my favorite Need
Okay.
for Speed, like Hot Pursuit, the one that came out for like Xbox.
Hot Pursuit 1 or
360.
2?
It was one that came out for Xbox 360.
Hot Pursuit was pretty fun.
Okay.
I got to play that
You
with
get
a
to
buddy.
because you get to play as like
The
The cops.
the cops.
It's really fun.
It was like that was just insane. I was like, this is absolutely crazy. Like
These
the
are
way you can use gadgets and stuff, like
Yeah, it was
it was
pretty
on a
fun.
whole new level.
Just for Underground for me, there's like a huge nostalgic factor because me and my cousin would play all the time, and then I figured out my Wii had GameCube compatibility, which I didn't know, and I was blown away by. So I bought Need for Speed Underground, and I played that, and it just the storyline and just everything I loved. But now for my top game,
All right.
I don't think you boys are ready for this.
No, lay it on
All
me.
right.
What's
all
it?
right. Well,
Also on the GameCube console, which is
alright.
by far my favorite console,
Okay.
Hmm.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
That is a pretty good game. I mean, it's up there.
Out of all of the Mario Karts, that is by far my favorite one. There is no flying, which I do not like. I think that's so stupid. There's no... The problem I hated with the Wii was the Wii steering wheel. I sucked when they brought the wheel implementation.
Dude, like half the time it worked.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not a fan. So I think that was Mario Double Dash was the last Mario Kart before the Wii came out, which was then the implementation of the wheel, obviously, which was a craze, but it worked, like Matt said, only half the time.
Yeah.
So, and it allowed you to play with other people, which
Absolutely.
gaming with people, in my opinion, is way more fun than, more fun. I was about to say funner, but I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
right.
Not a word.
Way more fun than playing just by yourself, in my opinion. So, having the like 2-person, one person throwing the item, one person throwing or driving. Me and my cousin I would be in charge of throwing stuff, and he would race. So, he was a better racer. But over time, I learned. So, but yeah, that's my top 5.
All right. All right.
It's a pretty good
Nice.
list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking it a lot.
Dan, what about you? What are your top 5? Starting at number 5.
We're getting there.
Oh, you haven't figured it out yet?
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember right now because I'm trying to think of the games with like really good stories and characters that I've played, and I really feel like I'm forgetting some.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this to be like, damn it, Daniel of the past, why didn't you remember game so and so? Fool.
That's kind of how I felt about my list. Like, I couldn't figure out really like not putting any of the GTAs on there. That
It's
was
hard
tough.
for me too.
That was
Oh,
tough
yeah.
because
Yeah.
GTA San Andreas. Oh, that was my stuff.
It was good.
Dude, GTA 5 with the heist with my friends
Yeah.
before like the other updates came out, and it was just that stuff. I remember going through and doing the Pacific Standard job
Ooh, yeah,
all the
yeah.
time with my
Yeah.
friends until I could buy that jet, and then I'd be flying that jet all over the place like wreaking havoc. And then
For-
the Savage Attack helicopter, that thing had infinite missiles. Bro, you know how many people I killed that were just driving? I was insane in that game.
I
Yeah.
think that separates like not a generation for us, but like separates the like I don't know how to quite explain it, but like for you playing online with all your friends,
Yeah.
for me playing GTA meant like sitting in a basement, playing on the PS2, if you didn't have the cops on you within 2 minutes of your turn going, you instantly had to give up your turn, and you had to.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh
it was
my-
intense,
Oh,
man.
dude,
you had to have the cops on you, and if you didn't, instantly pass. But if you did,
You saw how long you could survive with the cops on you?
yeah, and you had to eventually get to 5 stars, and that was really tough because there's
Oh.
only like 2 or 3 things you can do to get 5 stars.
Yeah.
But we searched them online and we figured it out.
Okay.
But eventually you build up to that. Some people's turns would go like a half hour because they'd
Dude.
go from 5 and then they'd hit that like the blinking zone where you're like
Yep.
you don't
Where
have
you're
the,
like running from the cops.
yeah. They're not searching or they're searching for you, but they don't know where you're at.
Right.
And then they would lose the cops completely, and then get them back on them again.
Okay. Dang. That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. So that's the difference. I think that's a good like representation of the difference in video game play for us.
Well, and I had a PS2,
Mhm.
but I think the difference is my parents didn't let me play those kind of games. You know, like
yeah,
back
this was
then.
this was on my buddy's PS2. This was not my PS2.
Yeah,
I did not have a
yeah.
PlayStation 2, unfortunately.
Well, because like my PS2 games were the story games.
Oh,
I
really?
didn't play like with my friends because I was like, constantly moving,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't have people that I could just be like, hey guys, come over, let's play.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'd always be in small towns too, playing games. Not the cool thing to do in small towns.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another
Unless it's like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
then,
Oh,
like
oh.
still, I'm talking like bum towns where like if you're on the sports team, you're the shit. And if you're not on the sports team, hey, random person,
you
how
exist.
are you?
Yeah.
But nobody asked.
I feel that. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this game, but it's like the Simpsons version of Grand Theft Auto.
Hit and run.
Yeah.
Dude, such a good
That's good.
game.
Yeah.
Everyone sleeps on that game.
It's really good.
It's GTA in the Simpsons realm. Just
Yeah.
it's great.
All right. Kyle, what about you?
You know,
Starting number 5.
yeah. So just a forewarning,
Mhm.
I do like my story-based games, so you're not going to be expecting any big-time like multiplayer sandbox stuff. You know?
All right.
Like you're not going to be seeing any GTA or
Are
Call
you,
of Duty.
are you at my list right now?
No,
Are
no.
you at my list?
No,
bro,
no.
are you at? It sounds like you're adding his
No.
list.
I said no adding.
No.
I threw
Bro.
that at number 5.
Bro. I don't know what you're talking about, all right? I was just saying.
Multiplayer, which all of my games are multiplayer. Sandbox, which the majority of them are sandbox.
Mhm.
Maybe the only one that isn't is Underground.
Wouldn't you
Mario
say
Kart?
Wouldn't you say Double Dashes?
Double Dash.
That's not really sandbox.
Okay.
But like, I mean,
yeah.
just like, I do like my sandbox games, but I just don't put them at like a higher regard
All
for
right.
me.
Just don't at me.
Hey, I'm not adding you, bro.
Everybody
right?
game's different.
Yeah, everyone
it
game's
that
different.
way.
Game respects game.
Game respects game. I can respect that.
Thank you.
All right.
So, for me, number 5, I would probably go with The Wolf Among Us.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's good. You know, at the time when Telltale Games had like The Walking Dead come out, and people were like, this is really good storytelling. And people were a little iffy about what they wanted to, you know, like what was next for them. So that when they released like The Wolf Among Us, people were pretty happy about it. Like they were content with it, which is like, you know, it was well done. The story was fairly interesting. The characters were people you can kind of like connect with in a sense. And now with the possibility of, well, not the possibility, the confirmation that there will be a second one coming out, makes me even more happier because I'm like, this kind of ended on a cliffhanger. So it's nice to see that they're trying to continue it even after everything that Telltale kind of went through these past couple of years. So I definitely put it up there for my number 5. For number 4, I'd have to go with Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So when I saw this game, like at E3, and it was like they're basically advertising it as like it's Assassin's Creed, but it takes place in like Lord of the Rings style, and you can play as like a wraith at the same time. I was pretty excited. I thought the mechanics of the game, the Nemesis system, where you can basically just like every opponent you face could become like a rival later in the game. If you were to die in the game, you can get revenge on that same person because they're promoted through the ranks. I like that a lot. And I thought the whole story was just very well done too. Let's see, this was the thing. The top 3 for me were kind of tough. Like, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Top 3, you really got to dig deep to
agree
find
with
like
that.
some good quality stuff. And I'm gonna dip a little bit into my PlayStation 2 games, and I'm gonna go with God of War. Like,
Absolutely.
specifically God of War 2, because like you start the game off, with Kratos, and he's a god basically, and he fights like I think it's like the Colossus of Rhodes, I'm pretty sure, and that there was like instant. I was like, this game is just incredible. Like the spectacle, like all the God of War games excel at spectacle, and this was for sure like the game that introduced me, because I didn't play the previous one. I played 2 first, and that's why I put it up more than like God of War 1 and I was like, this game, it's pretty good. And the overall story too was like, it left you on a cliffhanger. There were some great boss fights. There were some great moments overall. And I put it at number 3 because I'm like, it's not my best game, but it's up there for sure. So
You got
number
me sitting-
2.
You got me sitting at the edge of edge of my seat, Kyle. I kind of want to know what your number 1. I know we're getting there, but
Yeah, we're getting there.
if you put God of War 2 at number 3,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen other people play it, and I've watched like game clips for it, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh, that looks like a fun game.
It's fun.
It's really
I would
good.
believe you.
It is really good. For number 2, I'm gonna put Uncharted. Mostly because not the first one or the second one. They were good. Don't get me wrong. I'm going with Uncharted 4.
The Thief Among Us? Or no?
No, that's
No,
number 2.
The Thieves'
isn't it?
End.
Yep.
Thieves'
Yep,
End.
Thieves'
Yeah,
End.
yeah.
Just
Oh, wait,
because.
no.
Just,
Sorry, you're right.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've played through the entirety of the Uncharted series. I've
Mm-hmm.
loved every game, but 4 to me was the perfect way to end the series.
A good send off.
It was a great send off. Like, to me, I was like, this is perfect. Like, you could not top this. Plus, it was like, pretty sure one of the first games that came out for PlayStation 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when you see that, like how it looks and how it runs and how it just overall feels, you just have that like moment of like, I've been invested with this character for, a long time. And to see him like finally reach that point where he's like, this is it. This is my last like time. And it all wraps up in a nice happy ending, and you're like, this couldn't have been done any better. But is it number 1? No.
All right, hit us
Honestly.
with the sauce.
My number 1 pick, and it's kind of, a little controversial, but I'm going with the entirety of the Telltale Walking Dead series. Just because of this one reason. So, it's the story at its core. Like, not gonna lie, there's only been a few times where I've cried in a video game. And like, the Walking Dead games are definitely one of those that made me cry. The ending of season 1 and the last season both made me like shed a little tear. No game has ever done that to me because I was so immersed and invested in every character. Like, there was characters that you really just wanted to see like bite the dust. There was characters you really wanted to live. It was, and the choices you had to make and how they directly impacted how those characters would be later was absolutely astounding. Like, I loved it. And it like took me on a journey from like 2012 onward to even the end of this decade, like this past decade. I've been so invested in this story that by the end of it, I was like, this is by far, hands down, my favorite game of all time. And that is my top 5.
All right. I'm going to throw it over to Daniel.
Yeah,
Your top 5, starting number 5. He has deliberated, ladies and gentlemen.
He has deliberated.
I'm gonna have you get closer. There you go.
Well, it should be said that it's a very hard thing for me to pick favorites. Took me 15 years to figure out that my favorite color is blue. That should tell you something. Favorite games? Oh, good lord. It would be hard to ask me to find a more complex thing to weigh. Each genre has individual things that it presents and can excel or fail in. In general, my favorite types of games tend to be story-focused, open world, a good balance of action and adventure, and I think that some of these games personify that.
All right.
My
Continue.
number 5 is probably going to have to be BioShock Infinite.
Ooh.
Good game.
I think
Yeah.
it's
Good game.
probably the best of the BioShock series. I really enjoy the first one. It's amazing to have your first game in a series be so successful. But I feel BioShock Infinite really concluded the series in an interesting, new, fascinating, and artistic way. It got me to feel for the characters. It had good AI, good mechanics.
Yeah, no, that was one of the ones I think I first recommended to you when you were asking me games, right?
Might have been. I know my brother. That's my brother's favorite game.
Mm.
So he's been like, Daniel, play BioShock. I'm
BioShock.
like, okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm. Number 4, I'm going to have to say probably Fallout New Vegas.
Ooh, that is a good one.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's,
I like that one.
It's a little dated, but you will see that does not matter to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
I threw out.
if they remastered New Vegas, that would probably become like second favorite. No, third favorite.
I
'Cause
threw out a game that came out in like 1997,
Yeah.
1998.
Yeah.
It
So
dated
Yeah.
is not something you have to
Yeah.
worry about.
I'm
with
surprised
us.
none of like super retro games have come out yet, but also
well,
those are retro for us. So
Yeah.
if they remastered New Vegas though,
And New Vegas was 4?
What?
Was number 4 for you on your
Oh,
list?
fourth. Yeah, New Vegas is my fourth favorite game.
Okay.
I did spend a lot of time in Fallout 4, but I think half of that was just trying to get the building to work, which is enjoyable, but there are a lot of
You can
not
make
as
some
great things.
monstrosities in that game in the
Yeah.
building.
I hate you so much. You ruined such a nice city.
It wasn't the city.
Oh
though.
yeah, it was a nice
It
little
was like-
cabin by the lake.
It was a cabin by the lake, and I built like just this monstrosity. It looked
It
like
was
something out of like a
hideous.
Harry
I
Potter.
hated
It
it.
was so
Ooh,
dumb.
ew.
love it.
My number 3 game is one I have just recently completed, and that would be the very first Dark Souls. Everything about that game was fantastic.
It literally does. It made its own genre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why everyone compares everything to Dark Souls now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
like Cuphead.
I'm about a quarter of the way through the third one. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm skipping over the second because I've read and heard a lot about it. I'm like, it doesn't seem as great. Don't have much more to say about Dark Souls. Number 2 is probably my favorite game, but it's not number 1 because of a few reasons. One, just simple hour count.
I have a feeling I know what your number 1 is.
Oh, you know what my
Yeah.
number 1 is. And basically the only reason it's not number 1 is because of what number 1 is. But number 2 is going to be Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
All right.
As
Yeah,
soon as
yeah,
it came
yeah.
out, anyone who knew me said, Daniel, you should play Skyrim. It's you in a game. I'm like, tell me more. Dragons, magic, everything that's awesome in a video game. I'm like,
Open world.
I should get, I should get this game, especially modded. Oh,
Ooh.
it's so good.
Yes,
Modded
modded.
Skyrim.
Yes.
Modded Skyrim. It's so beautiful.
Mm.
Rip computer though. Number 1 though. Coming in at about, over 2,500 hours.
Okay.
playtime.
All right.
It's a little game that came out, depending on who you asked, in either 1998 or 2001. I joined in 2009, so I'm coming on 10 years. I don't know. I joined in 2010. There we go. So I'm coming in on 10 years here this February of playing RuneScape. That's right.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, yep.
all right.
And I still play now. It's mainly for the community that I have there. We have a pretty good group of friends, and it's a game that has made me laugh so many times. It was my first like RPG with knights and stuff. So that's where I
Yeah.
really discovered what I like in a game. Has so much tongue-in-cheek humor and interesting content. A lot of it has the highest ratio of just deliberation and intent in a video game. So many things are intentional and created with effort and emotion behind it. It's good.
Well, there's so many little like side quips that if you don't do like some quest, you'd never get.
That's entirely true.
I feel the RuneScape is pretty fun for me too. We only played it on a computer. Is that the only thing you played on? I feel like
I'm
There
pretty
is
sure it's
RuneScape Mobile.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
Yeah, and I've got to go to school on
Yeah.
that.
I know for my friends and I,
Mhm.
we used to play this when we weren't playing my buddy's Xbox, because his family was loaded. So we would play his Xbox for a while, and then we'd get bored with that, and then we go over to his computer, who had like the fastest internet around the block, just 'cause his family's rich. But we would play this one computer game I got for Christmas one year, and then we would also play RuneScape. Dude, I would go over his house at like 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes we would be playing RuneScape for like 7 hours, and his mom would be like, "You two need to go outside, get some freaking light." But yeah, RuneScape, I feel that 100%.
I'd also like to say that through every game I've played, including Dark Souls and multiple games from the Fallout series, Assassin's Creed series, Elder Scrolls, RuneScape has had the hardest boss fight. Believe it or not, I have spent dozens of hours just trying to learn one boss in particular. There's no point in naming it, but you'd be surprised to hear it, because you hear Dark Souls, you think, oh, it's so hard, you must be an elite gamer. But honestly, the hardest boss in there was like, okay, this kind of sucks, and I have to dodge real good, and it took forever, but it didn't take days.
right. And some people, they'll be like, "Oh, I beat every boss first try." And to anybody that's actually played the game, you sit there and you're like, "No offense, but no." Like, there's no way.
No, you just don't do that.
No. You have to learn the mechanics and then beat it.
Yeah.
Especially with like Calamite, that boss actually kills you the first time. And Seath is scaleless. No. Calamite almost kills you. Seath does.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Kicking off my list at number 5.
Do you want a drum roll?
It was the worst of games. It was the best of games.
Honey
I
Pop.
have Ark Survival Evolved.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Huh.
Absolutely. I loved that game so much. I have over 4,000 hours in that game.
That's dedication.
Count it. 4,000. You might well be asking, Matt, why do you
When-
have that much
When
time?
did that come out?
That came out. Well, it was in alpha for a while. It's been in alpha like forever.
And you played it then?
Yeah, no, I played it when I had this rinky-dink computer that was like terrible. I played it then where it was just the island. And then we got the center. And then we got Scorched Earth. And when Scorched Earth came out, I was playing it on my PS4. And then I played it like from then on out.
That's so much.
Yeah. Oh, I played a lot.
4,000 hours.
Yeah, it's
that's,
around like half a year, like in real
yep,
time.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy.
Well,
That's
I've been
a-
playing it like
that's a
forever.
lot.
It takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like you knock something out and then you have to wait like 2 hours, keep it knocked out, feed it, and then you actually like tame it and get it
Oh,
That's-
that's super cool.
for like one creature.
You only get one.
Now, if you're taming stuff and doing stuff all the time, those hours, they add up pretty quickly because you're not only taming, you're also gathering resources. That takes time. You're building your base. That takes time. Now, you guys might be wondering, Matt, why is this number 5 if you've sunk 4,000 plus hours into this? It is at number 5 because of the community.
Tell me more.
My God, is that community toxic?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are, what you're a part of. Somebody wants to like screw you out of your base and your resources and your dinos.
So kind of like Minecraft. Just
No.
No.
Oh, really?
More. No.
Minecraft
People in Minecraft
is
don't
like the
Yeah.
like socialist, like peaceful paradise where everybody gets along.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
This game,
Unless you're in a terrible server.
so there's the alpha tribes, which are the biggest on the server, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whole bunch of servers. There are, I don't know, like maybe like 7 mega tribes. They span servers. So they have like 16 servers where they're the alphas.
Those people must have a lot of active members.
Yeah. Well, and they have members all around the world, so that way somebody's always on
yeah.
doing stuff.
That's like our community.
Right. So the ones I can remember, we got White Walkers, Space Cowboys. Well, and Space Cowboys actually is disbanded now, but they've come together because they had like this really like messed up thing where they made like a player commit suicide. So all the other mega tribes like hunted them down.
holy crap.
Yeah, it was bad. We got the PR, which is Power Rangers. PR servers are the most toxic in my personal opinion. We have Unknown, and there's a couple others. It's been a while since I played
Mhm.
because I literally had to stop. My friends tried to get me back into it, and I can't. I get so mad because you spend like hours and hours and hours building yourself up, just get knocked down.
Yeah, that's always the kind of experience I want in a video game.
Right. But man, when you're building up, oh, it is so much fun. It is so much fun.
Oh yeah, I can understand
My
that.
favorite thing was like going into the Wyvern Trench where there's a bunch of dragons, right, flying around. You go in, you steal an egg, you get that egg out, and if it has crappy stats, well, first you probably eat it if it has crappy stats, but then you go back in and get a different one. You spend like a whole bunch of time raising it. You have to capture dragons, knock them out, grab the milk off them, only female dragons, and then usually you probably kill it. But you get the milk to feed the baby dragons because they can't eat anything else.
Yep.
You get that done. It takes about a week unless you're playing on like ×2, which they do. They do ×2 events on the weekends usually now. And then you can ride it around like just lighting everything on fire or using lightning breath or their like gas attack. It was so cool.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really awesome. But that's at number 5 because the Tox community, like I said, is the best of times. It was the worst of times. Coming in at number 4. Let's see what I wrote down. Ah, yes. Destiny. The first one.
Ooh, the first one.
The first Destiny. Yep.
Not Destiny 2.
No, D2's trash.
Okay.
Yep. And this is Destiny 1 after like all of the updates.
All right, when everything's
Right.
been...
When
put
everything's
into-
in.
Yeah.
So we're talking The Dark Below. We're talking King's Fall and A House of Wolves. Yeah, but that was like teeny tiny. And then Rise of Iron. So awesome. I've never had so much fun in a game that's a looter shooter. And for any of you guys that don't know, that's where you like grind for like the best weapons and the best gear to keep. It was very World of Warcraft-ish.
Yeah.
Is that a good comparison?
I would kind of put it up there. I wouldn't say it's like exact.
It's not exactly, but like with the
yeah.
gear.
I get what you mean. Like you're trying to grind to get better stuff to go out on
Yep.
bigger like missions and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the raids. Dude,
Oh,
the
yeah.
raids were that was it, bro. Everybody was doing raids.
Yeah.
I remember back when it first launched, if you had this shader that you got from completing the first raid, Shadow White, you were like a god. People like, yeah, it was insane. And my favorite story about this game, there is this legendary weapon called the Vex Mythoclast. This like super hard drop. It comes from the Vault of Glass. You know how many runs it took me to get that?
One.
How many?
1. I got it my
Ooh.
first run.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. My friends hated me for a while. It was great.
That's fair.
No, but that like game got me into like puzzles and stuff, and it got me into trying to be world's first. We were always terrible, like never like close ever, but it was fun trying to figure out the puzzles and stuff. Number 3, we talked about it a little bit. It is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Great game.
It's fantastic. We talked about it already, so if you want to, hear about it, it'll be posted in the description down below, timestamped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Number 2. And number 1 and number 2. All right. Number 2, I'd say, is my favorite game, like Daniel said. But number 1, I always come back to it. I boot up my PS2 and come back to it every year.
Mm-hmm.
But for number 2, I have Naughty Dog's The Last of Us.
Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic game.
It's great.
Yeah, everybody knows about it. Don't need to talk about it too much. And coming in at number 1,
Honey Pop.
no.
Candy Crush 3.
Oh.
You got it. No. Coming in at number 1, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and in parentheses I wrote, no, not you, EA.
That is a good game.
We're talking about the original.
Also good on the clarification there.
Yep.
Because that was gonna be probably like an honorable mention for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I played it on the PlayStation 2 like all the time, and then I come to college, and my roommate has it on his Xbox One.
Yeah.
So sometimes we play it on there, and I still love it.
It's so good.
It's
Dude,
so good.
that is the one time I would have friends over, and we played Galactic Conquest.
All right.
It was
It's so good.
It was so good, bro. If they had an online massive multiplayer version of Conquest, I would never play another game. That's how much I love it. It's so good. It's like first-person shooter chess.
It's
It's so good.
like you can
Really
just
good.
play that for like a good couple of hours,
Mhm.
because like there's just the varying different degrees of like, oh, I'm gonna attack this planet, I'm gonna attack this planet,
Mhm.
and then when they meet, they do like space battles.
So you can just meet like in like a random space where there's nothing. You can make more fleets to attack different areas, and like if they had a full online version, I figure they have all 4 factions, or I guess 6 now, because you got
right, you got
the New
First Order.
Republic. You've got First Order, New Republic, Empire, Rebellion, clones, droids.
Oh yeah,
So you got all 6 of those competing for like galaxy domination. Oh, that'd be so fun. No, but there's that. You get to execute Order 66, so you get to be a clone, go into the Jedi Temple, and just like murder Jedi. As messed up as that is so much fun. It's such an interesting and fun challenge.
I am Anakin Skywalker.
yes.
Oh,
You get to like play as him, and you get like the hood. It's actually kind of cool.
no
So
way.
you mentioned
Yeah.
honorable mentions.
Super cool.
Well, and there's one more thing that I want to talk about before we get there. Sorry. There is a mission where you get to play as the Empire. You go back to Mustafar, and this like droid like general like that escaped the war, he starts cranking out his own army. So you have to like put him down, and dude, it's so good. And you are like the Empire versus the droids, which like doesn't happen. That's so cool. Anyway, that's my number 1. I don't even want to know how many hours I sunk into that as a kid.
Too many,
So good.
probably.
So good. But
Oh,
you see
yeah.
how many I threw into my number 5. So
Yeah.
but going back to Ark, right? It's my worst and best game. The reason it was the best is the same reason that this show was one of the best. Dragons. You know what I'm talking about. Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Thoughts
Yes.
On Game of Thrones?
on Game of Thrones, baby.
I really was like vibing with it up until certain points
Yeah,
happened.
so let's start at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
When'd you guys jump in?
I would say like early 2019. I was extremely.
Oh, wow.
I was extremely late. Like we're talking. I'd maybe even go a little farther back and maybe say late 2018. One of my friends, basically just was like, "Yo, the final season's coming up in April, so we're going to try and see if we can cram as much Game of Thrones as we can before that final season comes through." So we sat down and we just binged it for months, just on a binge.
Who's we?
Me and my RA resident, assistant Chops.
All right.
Yeah. And we kind of just watched it for for months on a nonstop binge. Like we would just hang out, we'd be like, Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones. And we just pop that in. And I mean, luckily it was at the library.
All right.
You can just pick it up,
Yeah.
watch them, check it out, return it back to the library, grab the next one, and get watching on that. It was only until the final seasons when I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
No,
So-
no.
Dan,
Hello.
I got you into Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, you were my fixer. You hooked me up with what I needed.
Yeah.
In that
And-
Game of Thrones was the TV version of Skyrim. Daniel, you should watch Game of Thrones. Cool. How? Yeah. How was Matthew? He introduced me to it. He was like, "Hey, you know Game of Thrones? You want to watch Game of Thrones?" I was like, "Yes." I'm just gonna assume that's Kyle agreeing.
And that was
Like October of 2018, right?
what's it?
Let's see. We did Adventure Zone, Doki Doki, and then
It was second semester, wasn't it?
no,
What?
no,
It wasn't second semester?
no.
Did we rewatch it?
Because I remember there was a long break of like, well, now there's no Game of Thrones, so we started watching Westworld, an anime.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it must
That's
have been in like October-ish.
Yeah.
Because November was Fallout 4, skipping classes to play Fallout 4. Good job, Daniel. December was Spooky Games, naturally. Of course, you watch the Spooky Games in December,
Yeah, of
and
course.
Game of Thrones in October.
Yeah, December was the spoopy games. I remember
And
that.
I had never seen, nor played, nor really even heard a Spooky game, and I got so scared.
So we started with
Doki Doki.
Doki Doki Literature Club. That's right. And then we made our way through some other ones, and we got to Visage.
And that was the first game that scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
Oh,
I look back at it
yeah.
now, and I've rewatched it once with another person, and I was like, it's still really scary, but a lot of it is kind of cheesy now, where it's like,
Oh.
okay, yeah, doors open, close, lights
Yeah,
flicker.
they get
Yeah.
you.
But it's definitely, like, playing it would still be wild.
Yeah, atmospheric
Dude,
wise, it
absolutely.
was definitely off-putting. I mean, the first like scene of the game.
Which is
It's really messed up.
something
We're not
we
gonna-
can't
we're gonna
really
spoil
say
it.
anything. Well,
Yeah.
and it's not really appropriate
Well,
for
I don't think
yeah.
Mitch has played it. That could be something we do.
Hey, Mitch.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
I must say.
I feel
Well-
like you would really appreciate it.
Let me say
Speaking
that,
of something that I really, really appreciate.
Okay, never mind.
Sorry, I had to jump on that. I started Game of Thrones at like they just finished the 5th season, I think,
Is that
Okay.
when?
because it's when Daenerys.
spoilers.
If you haven't seen Game of Thrones by
Yeah,
now,
I'm just saying spoilers.
all right, fair. It's right when Daenerys gets into Marine and she's like starting her rule there. She doesn't
yeah,
like
okay.
finish it then, because I think that's the 6th season was when she
Yeah, it
finishes
gets it. That's when like I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
Tyrion like comes
Yep,
in and
yeah,
says, "Hey, I'm here to help."
Mitch, plug your ears for a sec.
It's okay.
So-
I'll get to it eventually.
Is that the one
Yeah.
that ends in Jon Snow dying? Or is that the one that starts with
Uh,
Jon Snow dying?
7's the one that starts with Jon. dying.
7 starts with Jon?
with him dead.
Yeah, with him already dead.
Yeah, that's
He
so
dies.
6th season is when he gets
Oh,
stabbed.
wow.
Yeah. He
For the
comes back in
watch.
like the 2nd, 3rd episode of season 7.
Is
They
that
didn't wait
right?
long. Yeah, because they did the For the Watch thing. Because they didn't do it.
For the watch.
They didn't do it in
Hold
season
up.
7 because season 7.
Because it's the start of season 6 is when he
the
comes
start?
back.
I thought
When he
it-
comes back, I thought.
I thought it was no.
Because he has that whole like arc of like going back to Winterfell and stuff.
Yeah, but I thought that was because they did 6 and then you go into 7.
Because 7 is when he and Daenerys meet up.
Yeah, but he had to get revived 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not?
No, I feel like I'm
I'm
right.
going to do some. I mean, we're going to ask the
We're gonna
boys
have
in
the guys
back.
in the back look it up.
Yeah, because
I'm giving them the hand signal.
right. I was just thinking because like 7, because everyone was like, oh, season 7 is gonna be like, what's gonna happen to Jon Snow now that he's dead? And then they revived him in like 3 episodes, and you're like, oh,
See, I don't think because he gets
In the
revived.
June 2015 season 5 finale, Mother's Mercy, Jon is stabbed to death by Alistair Thorne
Yes.
and several men of the Night's
okay,
Watch.
all right.
Get wrecked, Kyle.
Sorry,
Whoa.
I have watched it a lot.
It's fair. It's
I've
fair.
watched it once
Yeah,
and a quarter.
Well,
like saying
season 7 is when Jon and Daenerys meet up.
right.
I'm gonna throw this in just so that y'all know.
Mm-hmm.
I have not watched Game of Thrones. I've seen a couple clips here and there, just from like Facebook throwing it out. Otherwise, yeah, I haven't seen it.
Best part of Game of Thrones, when the dragons get huge. Speaking of dragons, we didn't do this yet. We got to take our 5 minutes for the first session of D&D that happened last Sunday night.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. But
Yes.
before we do that, Matt,
All right.
I think I think our viewers and definitely the people talking right now would definitely appreciate a break.
All right, viewers,
I
we'll be back in well, for you, we'll be right back. And for all of you, no time has passed, but we are back. Starting with Mitch. How do you think the session went on Sunday?
The session of my first ever D&D fully blown campaign,
Yes, sir.
of which I've wanted to be a part of for 7 years now, went
Sorry, I'm laughing.
Go for it. Keep going.
went absolutely, positively, redundantly, extraordinarily well.
What kind of
Mitch,
word is that?
Mitch, have you ever been told you have a real way with words?
I love that. No, I love
So-
that description. I think that just perfectly sums up.
What a wordsmith.
I
Yes.
especially, the hook for me was, quote, of which I've always wanted to be a part of. That really
I like
reeled
that.
me in, and then you really
Hook, line, and sinker.
exactly. You
Mhm.
really got me with just the
Extra
Dr.
mentally?
Seuss
Extra
word.
mentally, redundantly.
Well, I was being very redundant if you guys couldn't tell.
No, yeah,
little
you said positively. And then you said
Absolutely.
absolutely.
redundantly.
Redundantly.
Doesn't quite work there, but that's all right.
It works
I was
out.
running
then
out of synonyms.
You were trying to
know.
do exponentially, and then you
Yes.
turned it into what was it?
I don't
Extra
remember.
mentally.
Extra mentally.
Extra mentally.
Extra mentally?
No. Anyway.
Extra mentally.
Anyway,
Anyway.
anyway, it went very well, to say, in a short term.
That's not a phrase.
In a short term.
Well,
In short,
I've got-
it went very well.
In short, it did go very well.
All right.
In a
What was your
short term.
favorite part?
My favorite part probably would be. This is tough because there was a lot of cool moments.
All right. And if you want to ruminate on it, we can throw it over to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle.
Just popcorn it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Uh,
popcorn it to Kyle. I need to think
alright.
about it.
Okay.
Okay.
The overall session, I mean, it went for a very long time.
About 6.5 hours.
False.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for
Woo.
Yeah,
D&D session.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I love the fact that we went for 6 hours. You know,
But to be fair, the online one that I watch, they only go for 4 hours usually.
That's fair, but they are recording and such.
Right.
Balance was only 1 hour bits.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
And that was between months.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I really liked the story that was created, and I liked our group of characters very well. I thought we all had strengths and we all had some weaknesses that we all benefited from each other, helping out one another.
I have no weakness. I'm a bard.
That's very true.
So I do have
Almost
one quick
efficient
question.
in everything.
How much do you guys remember of that opening monologue?
I wrote it down.
I
wrote-
mostly listened for atmospheric setting and key points
Mm-hmm.
because I know that any important details will be rehashed later.
True.
And I may misremember or miswrite something. And if I focused a lot on writing it down, that kind of
Takes
drains
away a
it
little
of
bit.
the
I got
fun.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was when you were speaking, I was kind of just typing keywords and phrases in there, the big ones.
Mhm.
So I have a grip on the story based stuff. I have I know what's kind of going on, and not obviously everything because it's can't just tell everything right from the get go. But if I had to go with my favorite part
Mhm.
of the whole thing, I think
The session.
yeah, would probably be. I really liked how the overall escalation of it just being we're in a fight club, and then it turned into a full on invasion of the big goopy octopus aboleth hydra thing, and then next thing you know, here comes the orbital strike, and it's just a bunch of bad dudes coming out and just kicking butt and just doing their thing. And that was probably the coolest, and along with that the music really set the tone for everything, which was
Let's just say, for my first session, I am working with a first-class DM who has helped me through very many challenges as being a new D&D player.
There's
Nah,
definitely been.
Mitch is right.
Yeah, there's definitely. I know. Matt's like, oh, come on, guys.
He's also
like,
comparing himself to the god of which he shares a name of, Matt Mercer.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he holds himself pretty high.
Who,
So
which he said. Matt, or sorry,
So
Mitch.
there's-
Mitch, what's it like knowing that my Danish mother has better English than you?
you know, I take pride in it.
You should. It's endearing.
Yes.
So like, it's not just Matt Mercer though.
Yeah.
There's also somebody named Matt Covell who has an entire series on YouTube, which you guys should not watch.
Oh.
As I use a lot of his advice.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that, like,
so
That might ruin some things.
Stay
if you guys
away.
watch it.
I'll stay away. I'm focused on.
I'm kidding. You guys can watch if you want. I do a lot of
No,
stuff on my own.
I won't watch
Mm.
it.
But I get ideas and inspiration from him.
Yeah.
There's Matt Covell, Matt Mercer. Both of them are like super good.
You're just
like
destined
super good
to be
DMs.
a really good DM. You
I-
already got the name.
Don't
already got the name.
know about that. I know that I stumbled over stuff when I was doing it, but
Yeah,
Anyway.
so did we. But I mean, we were still immersed.
I
Yeah.
am an aspiring educator,
mhm.
and classroom setting can be compared to being a dungeon master. In
Explain.
that you must be prepared for each eventuality you can think of. You need to have a plan for where you want this to go, and you need to be able to respond basically instantly to the most wild things that are set before you, which means that it's never going to go according to plan. And in the end, that's part of what creates the amazing atmosphere that we have.
Oh yeah.
That's true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in that, Matt's doing an amazing job.
I
yeah.
think the pinnacle for you, Matt, as your DM skills. I think this is what really highlights it. If you could make a highlight reel for your DMs or your DM's abilities, is when the orbital strike is like coming down, and then the music just, and I know we've talked about this, but like the music just escalates, and like when at each bass drop, you're just like another one strikes, and then poof, another one strikes, and it's just it was so theatrical. I think that's how Sarah put it. It just
Mhm.
was very well done.
Performance arts were through the roof there.
Yep.
Yes,
for one Matt
very well
Hartley.
done.
It reminds me of when I used to do a lot of storytelling. Similarly, with the music, you have to do it with the music.
Yeah. If
And
you, I
that's
mean,
what Matt did.
timing
You
is
know-
everything. You know.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of, I don't know, you get into the flow, and you don't intentionally like know where the beats are.
Mm.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong. If you did, that would be incredible. But you respond to the music
Can
as
I-
it's being played.
Can I tell you guys?
Yeah.
Like that one, like where like the orbital strike came down, and then like the paladins like came out and they surrounded that aboleth. I had like practiced that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like
Yeah. Didn't you?
I didn't have like the beats down,
Right.
Yeah,
but like I had like the flow.
The
of,
flow,
like, how it should
exactly.
be going.
It was
Did
very
you?
well done.
Didn't you all also like practice the opening a couple of times too?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I
many.
practiced
Yeah.
the opening monologue.
Like
I wrote that first Thanksgiving break. So for Thanksgiving break, I wrote that. And then like I was like looking for something like to go in the background of it to like kind of like hype it up, and I found the world builder one, which is actually made for Matt Mercer. If you guys didn't know, yeah, it's like really good. It's just it like builds and it's so good.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it definitely your storytelling definitely reminded me of when I used to do similar, and I saw exactly the same things. It was cool to be on this side of it, on the
Mhm.
audience side, because I'm like, oh wow, it is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you're telling the story, you recognize that it's like this is going well, but you're just focused on telling that story. Being in the audience is totally different, where you're just absorbing it all, and you can really critique it. And it's so cool to see in like third person. It's like, oh, it is cool.
Oh yeah. Like the atmosphere, the overall just flow and feel of it. I mean, the music. If music wasn't there, I would have been like still immersed because I just love
Mhm.
the story of D&D. Like anyone who can tell a good story, it's only gets better with the music.
Mhm.
Because the music does the job perfectly. Like it sets tone, it sets atmosphere, it sets overall mood, and it just defines everything that you would want in a story.
I would say I'm fairly, maybe moderately passionate about music.
Mm.
Mildly.
Yeah, mildly.
say.
mildly.
I have a passing interest in
Mhm.
music.
Yes.
way.
But that
course,
was
of
actually
course.
one of the things I thought that I failed in.
Really?
The music, really?
Because I didn't have a playlist up or anything, so you'd get like ads and stuff, and that'd take us out of the
Yep.
moment.
That is the one thing that you a playlist is definitely helpful.
Right,
Yeah.
but that is
Um,
fixed now.
That problem will
Oh,
be
yeah.
Oh,
fixed.
good.
Because
Yeah.
Mitch actually hooked me up with Spotify Premium.
What a guy. What a guy.
What a guy, yeah.
Try to be.
I try to be.
Making the experience better for everyone.
Yeah.
So
Mitch-
Dan, what was,
Oh,
what
okay,
was your
yeah.
favorite
We'll
part?
throw
Yeah,
it to you,
yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think among us, as the players of all the players, have probably played the most D&D, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's not a lot, but I've again amongst the players had the most experience, and I would say that my favorite thing that Matt did was there was a point we reached where we came upon a battle zone where there were dragons and creatures of all sorts and knights and paladins waging this onslaught against a horrible beast. And the challenge for us was not to defeat the beast because we would die, but to essentially get past and maneuver through this war zone. And the way in which Matt did this was he told us each to select one skill. So we went around the table and we did this. And typically what happens is you are presented the challenge and the situation by the DM, and individually as players you're like, well, here's something that might work. And you say, okay, so I'm going to try and jump over this log. You know, that's a lame example, but it'll work for this example. And so it's like, you know, you roll the appropriate skill, like acrobatics or athletics. And it's like, oh, okay, you know, here's a number. Did it work? Cool. What Matt did was say, just pick a skill and
One that you were proficient in.
one that you are proficient in. And he wove each of our choices, each of our skills, into this fluid scene of each one of us leading the party, utilizing one of our strengths in this cinematic sequence.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's like we still rolled for it, so there was
Right.
still that like challenge and a slight tension, but it wasn't focused on that. It was focused on how we each used our strength to get this party through,
Yeah.
and it was so cool.
I
Yeah, we-
honestly,
we had an Avengers moment, basically.
yeah, we kind of did. I honestly, so Matt told us, he's like, pick a skill you're proficient in, and it was tricky because we couldn't use the skill.
Can use the same one twice.
Yeah, we couldn't use, like, I as a member couldn't use the same proficiency as Kyle as a member, which made it difficult because we don't all know each other's proficiencies since we just kind of met as in character. And, you know, you didn't want to take someone's excellent proficiencies. So me being a ranger and an animal handler, one of the skills I'm very proficient in is animal handling.
Mhm.
And I was like, I wonder how Matt's going to do this.
That's right. I remember when you said that. I was very surprised, and I wasn't
Yeah.
quite sure how to feel.
Yeah.
But Matt sealed the deal.
Oh
on
my
that.
Oh, yeah.
gosh,
He-
Matt did such a great job.
Yeah,
with
He
it.
he's-
took
yeah.
something that I personally would have struggled to find a cool way of doing.
Oh, he killed
internally,
it.
I would have thought, what do you want me to do with that?
Yeah.
And he made it something that was explainable, realistic, and fascinating.
Basically, he had, so in character, I have this winter direwolf, which is this huge, just OP animal.
Big chunky dog.
It's
It's
pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And I was like, animal handling, let's roll. I rolled decently well in it.
Yeah, I think you rolled above a 20.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
And basically, he was like, okay, so you do this with your wolf, but also you somehow get the dragon to come down. One of the dragons that are battling this big monster comes down and like basically helps you guys out. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah. There was a lot
I
of
loved
there was
it.
a lot of some
It was dope. They like, so he's like, I'm gonna pick animal handling. I'm like, okay, cool. So like, what animals are around? I'm like, he's got his own. Like, what else is there? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So the Platinum Legion, they're like waging this like, you know, battle against this monstrosity that's coming up, and they're calling in airstrikes all the time with their dragons. I'm like, how cool would it be if, because he has ice, right? Because they use silver dragons in this one. Like, how cool would it be? His direwolf like comes around, like starts the ice blast, but then he like whistles. That's usually a command for the direwolf, but it's also a command that they use for the dragons. So he whistles, and then the other dragon comes, and the ice breaths from both of them like mix into this ice tornado that like shoots shards all over the place.
It
And,
was
Right.
so cool.
For a skill it's towards the
Mhm.
bottom of that skill list. So like it's not that important. It's like around it's not a normally used skill, right? It's not an
I would agree.
acrobatics or
And not one of like the specifically practical ones where like I
right.
used did I use acrobatics, I think? Yeah, because
Yes.
I wanted to open up with something that was pretty simple, that would get
Mhm.
people thinking along the right lines, you know. And I think it all worked out great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
would
just
agree.
that would also go on your highlight reel. Just taking an animal handling skill track
Mm-hmm.
and just like, yeah, you basically do amazing stuff.
All of that was
Boom.
why
That
it
whole-
was an
you're right.
impressive thing to do as a DM and an impressive moment just as a player.
In
Yeah.
game, in or like out of game, but like us discussing when we were trying to figure out like what Matt was trying to have us do. I think someone said when you're playing, I think it's like Spider-Man, you gotta hit the buttons at
It's like
the
a
right
quick time event.
Quick time, yeah.
quick time.
Yeah.
That's what it was described as, and it was that plus 10 times
Kinda did.
more.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so cool.
It was really cool to see what the other people in the session were like, trying to think of like, okay, well, I have these kinds of skills. Let's see what we can do with them. And it was nice to see like what characters we're proficient in, because we can't just look at your character sheet and be like, oh yeah, you're proficient in this. So you should probably just use that.
Metagaming.
Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
and no one likes that.
Nope.
So it was cool to see like the characters thinking like, oh yeah, you know, I'm proficient in these things. Let's roll the dice. Let's see what happened. Like I used Arcana, and that's more for, you know, it's magic based stuff. And I was just like, well, yeah, I can use Arcana, but how would I use Arcana?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like a critical thinking moment where you had to be like, I'm proficient in this, but how can I use it in this situation? In this sort of like desperate, dire situation, like how would I use like Mitch's character? He's like, yeah, I'm proficient in animal handling, but as he said, you don't usually see that. So how would it be implemented here? And I like the fact that even though our, you know, some skills that didn't seem very like tactical and very big, they still shined, and they still gave like a sense of character to their character. Like, oh yeah, that's quick thinking, you know, like that's something that's impressive to me, not just from like a player standpoint, but from the DM standpoint too, because you'd have to be on the spot. Like they tell you, and then you have to just be like, okay, well, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and that's all based on if he even succeeds or not.
And there are about 20 some skills.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's a wealth of skills.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the creativity that everybody brought to the table, though. Like everybody picked a skill that I thought maybe, you know, like maybe this could like work, but then like some people like Kyle, I didn't know that you were gonna pick that. That's not one that I thought you were gonna like, but it put me like on my feet, and I was like, all right, let's go. This is
Yeah,
what's happening.
and I looked at it and I was like, all right, well, I'm a warlock. Arcana seems to be like the big thing.
Mm.
So why not just use a mixture of two magical based attacks and make them into one assault? Like just go off with these two things. And I feel like in the standpoint, it would make the most sense because Eldritch Blast, it's a cantrip thing, you know. So I could just toss that all the time.
It's
So
the
it makes
bread and butter of
it's the
warlocks.
it's the bread and butter. And then I was like, I also have a glaive, so why not just fuse them together to become just like an overall assault? And I like that tactical thinking because it made me really think about how would my character get through this? How would any of us get through this?
Can
I
I,
really like that.
can I tell you my favorite like moment, like from like just the DM's perspective?
Absolutely.
So it was when you and Dan were sneaking up on the house when there were all those paladins and stuff, and they were like looking around, and the
Yeah.
clerics were like trying to figure out what was going on, and then the aboleth came like up above you guys,
Yeah.
and then I changed the music, and Dan was like, "Wait, is it him? Is he coming?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Is it Bahamut? Like, is he coming?" And I was like, so, like that made me feel good because like now like I know people are invested, and he's like he can guess where it's going. I like that. That makes me feel like I did like a good job.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, when the DM and the players just have that, like, I don't need to say anything.
We
for you to
call it a
just-
soul bond.
Yeah, it's a soul bond.
Well,
Well, it's like you just have that kind of like DM player like relationship where you're like, you don't even need to say anything. Like, I know what you're going to do, you know what I'm going to do, and this will just make this an incredible experience because of the fact that we're so in sync with one another. Like, we just know what each other is thinking, what the actions are going to do, and when it pays off pretty well. Like, there are just some moments where, like, it's just luck of the draw. You know, you rolled like fairly well in your favor, and then it's just a matter of like, this is it. You know, like this is how it should be. You know, you don't want a DM that's just completely disconnected from their players. You don't want a player that's disconnected from their DM, because then it doesn't make the experience fun at all.
Believe me, you don't.
Yeah.
I've had some. Yep, Matt is nodding his head. He and I have both had some players and DMs whom we have disagreed with.
Yeah.
So I finally figured out my good moments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good moments, but I've narrowed it down to 3. The first 2 I just love because they're funny and they're good, and I love them. The last one, which I'll say last, was just for everybody. It was just a good overall experience. So first one was when it was when Kyle and Brandon's characters battled. That was funny. I also loved how I put 10 gold on Brandon and I won, even though I knew Kyle better.
You knew me better, but it was just our characters, because like how we met was very antagonistic toward one another.
Yes, it's like
it was like reluctant. Like I guess we're helping each other out now.
I don't want to, but I don't have anyone else. So.
Yeah, it was kind of, and I'm sure it'll become something else, because we're in a party now. But based on, and I like that, how we kept our character dynamic of how we were just like, I know you, you know me, but like, don't talk to me.
I know you, but
you're like here, I'm up here.
Yes, I tolerate you.
Yeah, it's like, you helped me out, I guess, one time, and I guess we're going the same way, so let's just get some rest. And then from my like point of view, from like me thinking as my character, I'm just here thinking like, I can't believe I'm put together with this guy. I can't wait to go to this tavern. I can't wait to just
finally
go to this
take
tavern,
a load off.
take a load off, rest, and then I'm out by morning. And then, of course, that doesn't happen.
No.
And it just makes for an overall good experience in character building.
Yeah.
Second part.
All right. Yeah.
Was when we were I guess metagaming a little bit. We were talking about who's very stealthy, because we had to get out of the tavern.
To a degree, although
that's normal commonplace. Like who can hide really well.
Strategizing and especially metagaming that you could communicate in character.
Yeah.
Like we could be like, okay, who's stealthy? Well, not the big guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say the cleric probably isn't all that stealthy in your plate armor.
Exactly.
And the plate armor.
So this is an example of justifiable and beneficial metagaming. It's not min-maxing,
right.
Knowing everyone's characters in and out perfectly.
Yeah. And you're not trying to argue with them or anything either. It's just
What about that did you
I just love when we were like, who's stealthy? And Sarah was like, well, I'm decently stealthy. Daniel was like, I'm pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good too. And I rolled. Boy, was I not stealthy at all.
Boy, was I not the stealthiest.
It is fun in a low pressure setting to completely bomb something that you excel at. I have to say, as horrible as it is in a high pressure setting, it's hilarious. Especially as a bard, I'll be definitely doing a lot of performances.
Right.
And I look forward to how those go wrong.
Yeah. And I liked when Mitch was attempting to do the stealth, you had Brandon's character interrupting the old man about talking about getting his money back. Yeah. And then I just asked the DM yo, can I see him do this? And so I roll and oh yeah, I could definitely see him. So in terms of character dynamic, you just have this guy who's always just thinks highly of himself, flubbing around.
It was.
And you just have
really
me,
flubbing around.
and he's just tripping over himself.
I had you drop your sword and clattered and everything. You had to pick it up.
And I just kind of I'm across the room as I stare at him.
And I deadpan.
Disappointing.
I just look at him and I shrug.
Yeah.
I'm just yep.
For me, that was just because I was like, yeah, I'm pretty stealthy. I can do this.
I got this.
Yeah. And then
This
I
is my
tried.
time to shine.
Yep.
Dunk,
Boy,
dunk,
was I.
dunk. Tang.
Yeah, really.
That was those two moments are just like those aren't like cool battle moments. Just those are just good character interactions
Oh yeah.
that are just funny.
Mm-hmm.
The top one, my favorite moment, would have to be as a party with the paladin. We're trying to like take down this illithid.
Aboleth.
That was like
Aboleth.
our first battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was our
Yeah.
first party battle.
First party battle, yeah.
I
Yup.
just thought the way we went about it was very well done. And
Yeah.
it could have been because I was at the very front and my wolf was doing a lot of the damage, but
your wolf is a monster.
I think
It-
it was enjoyable all around. We definitely
Yeah.
worked well together, and I was able to provide a lot of support. You were right up there in
Yeah.
the front lines. Brandon was
Tanking.
helping. Yep,
He was
exactly.
tanking, doing his
Brandon?
thing.
Doing a good job tanking,
Yeah, yeah.
especially
you can
now
take a hit.
in a support role. But even before,
He was-
there's nothing I love more than a good tank,
Yeah,
and there's nothing I hate more than a bad tank.
right. And I thought we all kind of played to our strengths well, and when
Absolutely.
others faltered, there was someone who was there to be like, "I got you covered."
Mm.
yeah.
You know,
Cure wounds.
I also
cure wounds.
Cure wounds.
didn't want to just like throw you guys in like the middle of it.
Right,
Yeah.
I threw somebody else in there kind of like because there's a lot of new players,
right.
Yeah.
so I wanted to
Mhm.
just kind of like
We
didn't
definitely
wanna
took
keep
people
advantage
in
of
just a little
that.
bit.
Yeah.
Right.
We definitely did. Yeah, it's just like first time players, and then you don't want them to get.
Didn't Arthur didn't have his hit points?
Yeah,
Yep.
yep. Because he kind of
Yep.
was like, all right, so because he said he had him, and he said he thought he rolled for him.
Mhm.
And we were like, yeah, bro, it's on your stat sheet.
Be
He was
right
like,
here.
I'm looking. I have my stats or my hit points written down in this where they should be because Matt like basically coddled me through this
Hold your
entire.
hand through
It's-
it.
Yeah.
It's hard to like. That's
It
the
is.
that's the worst part.
Starting
when getting in.
Starting
Yeah.
D&D, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Learning
But-
character creation is a mess.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you guys about the first character I made?
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
You haven't told me.
I made a wizard.
Oh.
Do you know how many spells a wizard has?
I mean,
All of
So
them.
all of
many.
them.
All
of
It's
them.
basically all of them.
Dude. Oh man. Yeah, it was rough.
It was rough.
But yeah.
Wizard and Bard are two of the definitely like the hardest classes. Even I haven't like built a wizard yet. I started one and it just got. I think I was gonna go with Abjuration
Okay.
because it's a pretty solid class and you can do some like real good defensive buffing.
If I had to pick one, like for fun, I'd pick necromancy.
Oh really?
Or
Oh.
evocation.
Well, why not? Yeah.
Necromancy does look really interesting.
Oh, dude,
I
having
thought
a-
about doing that.
a necromancer, like be a good guy, that would be so cool.
You
Yeah.
can do like a Death Domain cleric too. It works really well.
yeah.
I
There's-
was about to say something, but I can't say it.
Uh-oh.
We can cut it in post.
Yep. Yeah. we'll just,
Uh-oh.
uh,
No,
see
no,
how
no.
it
This
just
is
goes.
something
I-
the players
I think as characters we
can't
can't know
know.
about this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Right. There's
Oh, God.
definitely there's
Okay,
definitely a lot.
Palpatine.
There's definitely a lot that I'm looking forward to in the session overall. I'm looking forward to how characters develop
Mhm.
in terms of like how they interact with one another, how they because I kind of see D&D as like an episodic like show with like character arcs, character developments. Because I mean, you make a whole
Yep.
character, you have to have something settled, like a goal in mind or just something to motivate you to do something. And I really like the fact that you have just the most control over the character. And sometimes even the DM can be like, I'm going to put a little something here. I'm going to put a little something here to spice it up.
Well, guys, I think this will wrap it up for us. To give a little conclusion, we beginning of the night we talked about our top 5 all-time video games and what kind of went into that list. Then we jumped into some Game of Thrones, and then we kind of wrapped up the night talking about our first ever D&D session, which went extremely well. Did it not, guys?
It
Yeah.
did.
That went
Loved
pretty
it.
well.
Absolutely. So I think this will be a good place to end our second episode of the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast. Just so that you all know, we're broke college kids. We always need some money. We have a Patreon
Absolutely.
that you can go support our college life needs. Those packets of ramen don't pay for themselves.
You got that right.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. You'll see us next week on the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast.